Welcome to the Roniel and DaRon podcast show. I'm DaRon.
And I'm Roniel.
I know we talked about the Travis Scott incident. Out of curiosity, have you seen what the Representative Gosar put up? Gosar. He's a Republican, and I guess he decided to put up some. It is Giants Attack, or as most people would know it, Attack on Titan. Although technically that's not what it says. Technically it's Giants Attack, where he doctored their intro to have Cortez's face on one of the Titans that he kills. So it's him, of course, being one of the hell do they call the guard? Come on, you know Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Anyway, so he's one of the
so many damn Titan movies.
Yeah, dead serious. He's one of the guardsmen, and he kills Cortez, and then it shows him going to kill Biden. Now, prior to that, there are a whole bunch of immigrants because he renamed it instead of Giants Attack. He renamed it to Immigrants Attack, or Attack of Immigrants. You know, it's the anyway. It's I guess there's a bit of a fervor over it. See, I don't know. It's been labeled by one of the platforms, one of the social media platforms he put it on, as being hate speech and stuff like that, which is appropriate. There's, it's one thing to have contempt for a coworker.
Mm-hmm.
It's another thing to post videos of yourself fictitiously murdering.
So this Republican did that?
Yeah.
Wait, there was an intro on live TV or something like that, or was it just like a article?
It's actually something that he posted on Twitter and Instagram, I believe.
What the hell is wrong with him?
I don't know.
Like, did he lose his job? Like, what the hell is wrong with him? Like, that's a threat to me.
I would say so too. I think in most businesses, most companies, you'd get fired like that for that kind of thing. But not if you're a congressman.
Because you're a congressperson, it's okay.
Apparently.
So what happens with cancel culture to Congress people? Like, they should be canceled as well. Get their ass up out of here.
Well, and I'll give you a good example. You remember that Kathy Griffin lady, who's a comedian apparently?
Yeah.
She was never funny to me, but whatever. Her voice is so screechy.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is such a turnoff. I mean, it's so hard to listen to her because I'm like, my ears. It's painful. I'm sure some people feel that way about my voice, which is fine. I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinions.
Yeah, everybody's entitled to their own opinions.
That's right. But her voice is so hard. But anyway, so she made that thing of Donald Trump beheaded. And I don't know if you remember, they went hard after her and she got canceled pretty hard. And I do not agree with what she did. I want to be very clear. It's one thing to vehemently oppose someone's ideas, their politics, but opposing their politics isn't the same as seeking violence toward them, depicting violence toward them, or anything of that nature. They're completely separate things, and beheadings are not a laughing matter. Beheadings are a very vicious, ugly affair. But I don't understand how this guy's getting away with this either. It boggles my mind that this goes back to what I keep saying. We need to have a conversation. Well, we're never going to have a conversation if people are busy posting videos of fictitiously killing one another. Because I don't want to talk to someone who posts videos of fictitiously killing me. And
right.
I mean, talk about a hostile work environment for Cortez and Biden, but Cortez takes a lot of hate and abuse. No, I don't know.
they need to cancel their asses. Like you should, if it happens to everybody else, it's to happen to them.
I
Like you
agree.
can't do that. Like these still are people, and they're still, you know, it's just like anything else. You know what makes Congress so much better than anybody else? They're still fucking people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. I just think people people think because they get in a certain position, they're above the law. They're above everything else,
Yes.
and it's just crazy. Like that's why we have a. This is the problem right now. That Congress think they can do whatever, and then you have Trump thinking that he can go and do whatever he wants. You know, like it's insane. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, well, it's sad when you have a judge going through and slapping you down saying the presidency is not a kingdom. You're not a king.
Right. They would have been bad.
Yes.
It
Yes, it would
was.
have.
Yeah, man. It like I say, they need to get this shit together.
They really do. If I may, I'd like to maybe expand upon our discussion yesterday. Wasn't yesterday. Our discussion last
I'm about to say we had a
podcast.
discussion, but it wasn't that.
Yeah, our discussion last podcast. Yeah, we did have a discussion yesterday, but it wasn't that. So our discussion last podcast. If I have seen that when you have people who are offensive, so your penetration testers, for example, and they are supposed to be trying to help a team mitigate, remediate vulnerabilities, that they do a bad job, number one, describing the vulnerability, honestly. And that goes back to the whole white hat thing. But they do an even worse job at trying to explain to the other side, be it a system administrator, database administrator, network administrator, a developer, the development team, whatever, how to properly mitigate a vulnerability. So much so that I have seen a lot of penetration testers get so flustered and frustrated that they basically just give up on the whole thing and get bully boyed into removing a finding because they can't explain it, because they can't explain how to resolve it, because they can't explain how to mitigate it. Because let's be honest, there are plenty of things you can't resolve because it's cost prohibitive, time prohibitive, or what have you. And instead you have to sit there and try to mitigate as much as one can. Now, right now you're in, I don't know, do you call yourself a penetration tester at your job? Is your job penetration testing, or is it more on the assessment side?
Well, as the world would see it, I'm a porn star. That's what they would see it.
Or you
Yes,
test pens?
yeah, I test pencils. My job, it's weird because, like I say, as they have switched from penetration tester to consultant. So I am truly a penetration tester, but I am a consultant. Um, so yeah, I do pen testing, and from your question, there, there's a lot of people that don't understand how to explain things, especially in my field. We're an AppSec, so you can't explain apps. It's not like explaining uh, how to hack a network, which is harder to do nowadays because they have next gen firewalls and all these other things set up. So people are getting better at certain things. However, when you look at things from an AppSec perspective, it's harder to talk. And me, I'm not, if I have ever had anything taken off of a report, it's because that the environment that I was testing wasn't true to production.
Ah, yeah.
So they would say, no, this, even though it's a valid finding, it's valid, but we don't use that in production. Then why the hell did you give me an environment that's not true to production? That is always what I say. When you go in and do a pen test, it needs to be true to the environment that you're going to be putting out in the internet or internet facing or true to production. If it's not like that, then there's no point of testing it. It's a waste of a pen tester's time and everybody's time in the hole. So other than that, no, I don't get findings taken off because literally to me the finding is the finding. If you have evidence, significant evidence, and you can prove it, and you understand what you're talking about, and can tell them how to remediate it, then the finding is the finding. It is what it is.
Yeah.
The evidence is there. However, the problem becomes when giving solutions. Like there may be and we had this before where you'll give one solution and it's a fixated solution, and the client, it doesn't work for the client.
Yeah.
You have to give them other options, and you have to understand the application or the environment very well in order to give them other options. So, but there may be some cases where, of course, let's just say this in particular, I've had this many times where DOL injection, like, how we feel about that. But you give them this, and Microsoft has not come up with an answer to this. Nobody has an answer for this. But okay, there's no answer. Do you not answer that? Because Microsoft doesn't have an answer? What
Right.
is your solution to make it better? But you would have to have known and been on that defensive side to understand how to give a solution. And see, as you know, for me, I've been on that side before. So I understand that, okay, yeah, Microsoft might not have a solution to here, but here are some things that you can either document to your client on how to set up and secure this properly, and some other things you can write in your code to be able to secure this properly, and some other mitigations as well. It's
Right.
just layer and layer of protection. As we always just say in the defensive thing, it's better to have a layer of protection than to have none. They're not going to be 100%, but you know, nothing's 100% secure, right?
Right.
No matter
Right.
what you give, it's not going to be 100%. But you have to have a solution and understand it yourself. Because if you're telling your clients, "Hey, here's a problem, but I don't know how to solve it."
Right. And I think that's actually one of the most common things, at least that I've seen from our industry in general, is there's a plethora of individuals who run engagements and they're white hats. So going back to our prior discussion on white hats, that means they're fools with tools. They know how to use a tool. That's right. That's right. That's right. They're the devil. And as a result, they don't know how to mitigate things. And actually, you know what I've seen a lot of? People will pull straight from the tool, whatever the tool says the mitigation is. You see this especially when they do vulnerability scans. Yes, they
I hate
copy
it.
it verbatim.
I hate it.
You've seen it, haven't you?
Mhm.
And it's never
Yeah.
useful.
No, no. Like, it doesn't tell anything. Again, and when I do my assessments, I do a few pictures, but I started to hate pictures because it doesn't really tell the story as well. So I would use code snippets and
Yeah.
snippets so you can actually see in detail that,
Mhm.
even the request itself, and that way it's not coming from Burp Suite or what is it, IBM App Scan or something, and I'm just pulling out their definition because their definition may not go with that situation.
Right.
You have to change some things. And even if you're pulling like some things out of there, you at least want to be able to explain it and show why, and then give other details after that to follow up on that. So that's my case. But I hate people that do that. When I see that in reports, I go, "Oh, here we go again."
Well, and I think a large part of this, I suspect a large part of this comes from the fact that since they spent so much time attacking, a lot of the people on the offensive side have divorced because in our industry, for some silly reason, and it makes no sense to me, we have decided to segregate. So we've said you have offensive and you have defensive. So you have red team and you have blue team. And then they've recently said, well, but you have purple team, and purple team really means you don't do anything. It doesn't mean that you're a bit of both. It means you do nothing. But we have red team and we have blue team. The problem is the red team folks don't understand enough of the way that things operate to be able to provide reasonable accommodations, to provide a reasonable remediation or mitigation. And they certainly don't know enough to actually explain everything, how this thing is actually happening. But on the defensive side, when they get siloed like that, they oftentimes don't understand and know how to pull off the attack. So since they can't pull off the attack, since they can't describe the attack, at the same time they can't provide decent mitigation. And the end result is that your system administrators or whomever gets saddled with trying to fix this is largely off on their own.
Yeah.
And they try to find what they can online or wherever. And I have to be honest, most of what you find is online is going to be insufficient and won't fix anything.
Again, it goes back to my thing that you have to, and to be good in this field, especially in application security, you have to have done everything.
Yeah.
You have to have at least your hands in all of this to understand it, because I don't see how you can fix something if you never done it or understand how it works. Like, That's what makes it good for me to help people, because I've been on both sides,
Right.
and I was always told that it's easy to be offensive, but it's harder to be defensive. So if you can't defend anything, I don't give a shit how much you can hack. If
Right.
you don't know how to defend against it, it doesn't make any difference.
Right.
And you have to understand that. People have to understand that, even from a coding perspective, secure coding or that, you need to understand that to know to defend against or attack. How can you tell somebody this is, you have cross-site scripting, but you don't know how to defend against it? You don't know any
Right.
secure coding practices, all that shit. So, again, people come from particular fields. They think that, oh, I was here, so I can get into this and do that, and I'll be successful because all I really care about is hacking, not knowing even further down that a lot of my job, and I know people may say this sucks, but it's really, what are we in this for? People say 90% of your job is writing reports. Yes, whether I hate it or not, that's what I'm getting paid for. I'm getting paid to give my my evaluation of their system in a report, so they can check off the check box and say, I got a report, I got a pen test, and we're working on fixing these items. They have to, in order to get certified or be compliant to whatever. So that's my job. That's what they pay me for. Now they do, and they should, as I always tell clients, you should all year round have somebody on your team, a team looking at your system as well. It shouldn't be depending on just a pen test. A pen test is just to cover those boundaries, or if have that full
Right.
coverage,
Right. Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
liability.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So people don't understand that. So when people say, "Oh man, you're spending 90%," if your company is not spending that and you're only thinking about offensive, then I know something's wrong there, because
Yes.
you have to be able to do both. And you're going to be spending 90% of the time writing your report and 10% hacking. It's not all about offensive, it's about the client. You want to make sure the client has everything they need to be successful at, you know, remediating these things, and all information as well.
Right. Well, and I think to 2 points you made. The first is, for me anyway, I think writing a report gives me that time away from the test or engagement, whatever it may be, to think about what I saw, reflect on what happened. And because sometimes there are things that happen in the moment that you don't notice.
Mm-hmm.
When you have that time and you're reflecting on everything, now I see. Hey, I remember, I'm pulling it all together, and oh my goodness, I remember I saw this or that in the system. And until I pulled the whole picture together, I didn't see what that meant. I didn't know what that meant when I saw it the first time, and I didn't see it again, and all of this other stuff. So I think the report period is actually a very important, when done right, an important chance to reflect on everything. And so it's easy for people to brush it off and say, well, I don't like to write. I don't know of many jobs, at least in the service industry, where you don't do a lot of reading and writing, by the way. Uh, English is important if you are in an English speaking country. Whatever language is the predominant language of your nation is incredibly important in any of the service industries. And I think the other component of this is sometimes when sometimes we think that it takes people with a certain set of skills in order to find anything at all against a system. And so we glorify the offensive team, penetration tester or anything like that. But you even see this in sports. But if you've ever seen a game where there is no defense,
Lakers, get on the defense. I'm so sick of you guys sucking at defense. What the hell? Then you just spot on with it. If you guys watch basketball, defense win championships, not offensive.
yes.
You got to be able to defend the other team. So that goes to DaRon's point. Sorry, I just had to say that. I was just really pissed off at the Lakers.
But that's exactly right, though. That is precisely right. You it does no one any good if you have this ridiculously strong offense, but you have no defense. No one. And that game's not fun to watch. And you know what? From an attack perspective, it's not a great situation either. I mean, if I'm sitting there trying to break into a system where they have a great offensive team, a great red team, but a terrible blue team, it's going to be a killing field. And it's going to be boring. And oh my God, writing that report will be painful.
Yeah, it'll be like, oh man, they didn't have anything.
That's right.
Killed everything. Oh, that's not
right.
what I was expecting.
That's right. Did they even come out onto the field, for Pete's sake?
Yeah, did they even come to play?
Right. That's exactly right. And I think this is why it is incredibly important to have a good mixture. And this goes back to something we'd said before: diversity of thought, diversity of passion. This is what every workplace should be after, is you want a diverse team, not based on some random thing like diversity of sex or diversity of race. Would it be nice if your team were semi-representative of our population? Sure, why not? Obviously, if you're saying no to people because of one of those characteristics, that's a problem. But what we should really be after is that diversity of passion and thought. And that's why when I help build teams, one of the things I go after is, what is that person's focus? So I've put people on a software development team who are not the world's best back-end developers. But what they are better at than the other people on the team is front end. Because you know what? If you have a team full of back-end developers, your front end is going to look bad. I can tell you that because I am a back-end developer. It will look like something out of 1973. And that's if we did a good job. It'll be terrible. No one will want to use it. And it may be whiz bang. That back end may be just absolutely freaking awesome, but the front end is garbage. And the same is true. You have to make sure that you have developers who are security minded. That doesn't make them experts, but they have to be security minded. Your security team needs to be filled with people who are offensive, people who are defensive, and a lot of people who are both. It needs to be filled with people who have expertise all around the place so that they can come together, draw their knowledge as one, and create an awesome product. But if you don't do that, then you won't get there. And you also have to make sure that there are no conflicts of interest, which leads to another group, and that's the NSA. So the NSA is very good at what is historically theirs, which is offensive. They're very good at offensive stuff. When the government started pushing defensive stuff to the NSA, at the time, and this was many years ago, I raised my hand up and said, this is wrong, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because they have an organizational conflict of interest. Have you ever noticed that a lot of other countries don't like to listen to the security guidance that the NSA puts forward?
Mm-hmm.
You know why?
Why?
There is an overwhelming self-interest for the NSA to make it so that your computer is insecure.
Mm-hmm.
The tighter your security, the harder their job is.
Yes, yep. They're not going to tell you that.
That's right.
No.
And that's
Like,
actually why, so we found, for example, NSA Easter eggs inside of various algorithms, encryption and hashing algorithms that the NSA had made public, and that became very big. I won't name them. You can look them up yourself. And some of those algorithms and some of those suggestions were later used by major cryptographic modules for things like OpenSSL and OpenSSH. only later to be found that they were wounded. Some suggested purposefully wounded. I'll leave it at that. So they have two dueling missions right now and have for a little while. One is to go through and protect the United States and its interests through offensive cybersecurity and general electronic warfare. That is their mission, electronic warfare, plain and simple. And that's, cryptographic, so breaking ciphers and things of that nature. That is breaking into computers, monitoring radio, you name it. If it's electronic, it's their bread and butter. Their second interest, because this is what Congress handed to them, because Congress looked around and they said, and this was under Bush, they said, okay, we need an organization that's really good at cybersecurity. It wasn't called that at the time. It was information assurance. We just keep renaming things. Makes us look special. So they spot on, they see the NSA. They say, you guys, you're really good at breaking stuff. So that means you're going to be really good at fixing stuff, securing stuff, defending stuff. Did they take away the NSA's mission of breaking things?
Mm-mm.
So the NSA, as a result, started putting out guidance that wasn't always the best.
If you guys haven't already, please go get you some water, some Fiji water at that, so you won't be like DaRon and not have any water. So please keep your water, especially when you're talking, and stay hydrated and stay healthy.
I thought you were selling smart water.
Hey, it's Fiji water today. Fiji, smart water, alkaline water, or alkaline, whatever they are. Yes, these are the waters. These are the good waters. The sauna, all that, I don't know. Get you some water.
Stop playing the field, man.
Hey, I'm trying to get one of those guys. Someone, Fiji, smart water. One of you guys, you got to sponsor the Roniel and DaRon podcast show. Come on now. We're selling you guys, upselling you guys.
You know where they pull their water from, right?
Yes. Don't go there.
Oh, right. We're trying to get their money. Sorry. They don't pull their water from Lake Erie.
Oh, my God. He just had to ruin it. Anyway, why you have Fiji or smart water or alkaline water? It's very good water. Don't listen to DaRon. Otherwise, you will have issues talking. Okay.
That's true. I mean, you hear it even still. Wow. Could not have scripted that one.
No, yeah. Only script kiddies can script that.
That was good.
I wasn't calling you a script kiddie, though.
Oh.
Far from that.
Okay.
Don't worry, because DaRon always calls me a script kiddie, and I'm nowhere near a script kiddie, but DaRon loves to call me a noob script kiddie. So it's okay. For all you noobs and script kiddies out there, remember what I said. Don't be a white hat when you grow up.
Don't be a white hat when you grow up. That's true. No argument there.
We're going to get that shirt. Don't be a white hat when you grow up.
Okay, everyone's going to cancel me when I say this, but I'm going to do that joke of, let me catch my son being a white hat.
Hey, I'm telling you, you're sparking up that one guy, Mr. K. I'm telling you, KM is coming after you. You better stop. He's a top. He was cracking NSA codes. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, sure he did. Never. I know he'd say he did, but no. I mean, the stuff back then was such a joke. I can tell you, that fool didn't actually do any of that.
Scott? And you thought he was a country person?
I did. I thought he was a country musician. I thought he did country music.
Everybody, Travis Scott fans, again, blame DaRon. Blame DaRon. We're gonna have to get DaRon caught up to some of this interesting, horrifying music today. It's horrifying.
I don't listen to. I don't. I actually, you've got, who is it? Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion, stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah,
Stop. Did you say what I just said? Oh my God. Did you? You literally said Megan Three Stallion.
I don't know these people's names.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Is that what her name is? I thought it was
Yes.
Three Stallions. I always wondered what the hell the Three Stallions were about.
Damn, Three Stallions. Oh my God. Hold on. Pause this. Wait a minute. Cut. But the Three Stallion, what were you thinking of Andre 3000?
I don't know who the hell you're talking about now.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it. I'm sorry, man. This is awesome. I love it. What the fuck?
I've always said I'm cultured. I said I did not grow up here. I am culturally inept.
Holy shit. Oh man, that is just made my day. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Well, okay, but how does Megan the Stallion make any more sense? Because I mean, the stallion, males are called stallions because the stallion is a male horse, and
yeah, we're not gonna get there, okay? Because have you seen Megan Thee Stallion?
no.
Okay, well, she's supposed to be saying her body is just, look like a stallion, like, and nah, that does not work for me. But
yeah, it's women who like stallions. Women are the ones who say, "Oh, that horse is so pretty," but not men.
I think that Megan Thee Stallion is a woman. So
well, the stallion. Okay, so I've heard of someone called the Italian stallion, and that's because he's got a really long.
Oh God. Okay, so I'm not sure about the Italian the Stallion and Megan the Stallion. It's not 3,000 stallions, okay? Not 3 stallions together. It's like you mix Andre 3000 with Megan the Stallion, and they had a baby, and now they're called Megan 3 Stallions. Oh God. And I'm gonna sing you something about Andre 3000. So you've probably seen this guy before. He was an outcast. So, yeah. But I had to. Oh man.
Wasn't Outkast a singer?
No.
Oh.
Outkast was a group.
Oh.
Okay, everybody. If you have not noticed, DaRon is not hip to his culture, and it's okay. He's been living under the rock for. It's okay. But at least he knew who Megan Three Stallion was, even though she's not Three Stallions. But I'll give him credit for that. And then Nicki Minaj, that is a great one. I didn't even think you would know about Nicki. Oh my God! Like
I was gonna say, I heard about her in the news one day because she did something, some
did
music
you hear about
video.
her ass deflating? Did you see about that?
No.
Oh,
Did it?
yes.
I love it. Oh, that's sick, actually.
People always talk about it because she has people have these fake butts.
Yeah, I knew hers was fake.
It deflated. Oh gosh. Oh man. Okay, back to the NSA. This has nothing to do with the NSA and 3 stallions and deflated asses. Wait in hand. Okay, so we were talking about their defense.
Okay, so I really what they should have done, and I said this at the time. The DoD was already working on specifically, actually, the Air Force was already working on standing up Cyber Command, which of course we know became the U.S. Cyber Command instead, because the Air Force managed to hose it. At the same time, the Navy was attempting to stand up their own, and that didn't work either. The Air Force beat the Navy, and then it just became U.S. Cyber. But I don't know why there's this, especially within the public sphere, this belief that, oh, well, I need to use the NSA's guidelines and guidance for security. My recommendation, actually, if you want to secure your system nicely rather than use the NSA's guidance, is to use DISA's guidance, DISA. The whole purpose of them is quite literally to secure DoD systems. And they have less of a conflict of interest. And I think that's one of the important things to me is penetration testers maybe fall into a similar realm where for the less scrupulous ones, they have that there's a desire to find things. And so you'll see, I have seen this actually in my professional life, where they will leave something off a report so that they can report on it again later if they have fewer findings later. Meaning, if they're hurting for findings, they can pull up some of the stuff that they had found and run that against you, which is dishonest. That to me is really dishonest. I don't. That partially goes back to the whole idea of we've got this conflict of interest from the offensive side, where, believe it or not, they don't necessarily want to make your defenses as good as they can be. What they're after is different because their motives and motivations can be different. Now, a good team, that's not the case. A good team, that's not the case. But remember, if you're talking the NSA has no interest in securing China. They have no interest in securing really any other country. And I saw personally instances where systems that were secured by the NSA were left completely inoperable. Like, I then had the government paid huge money to fly me out the next day to go fix what had happened and get the system so that it turned on because it stopped even powering on, and then also so that it was secure. So a point in all of this being, I think our industry is a little remiss in a lot of ways because our offensive side tends to focus too much on wanting to get that next big win, and they're not necessarily as invested in the idea of creating a solid defensive posture as you might think. And that's penetration testers, that's security assessors, unfortunately. And that's, organizations like the NSA, MI6, MI5, and so on and so forth. So I think we would do a much better job if we collapsed down and integrated a little bit. And it seems to me like in part that's occurring, but not because the industry wants to. I think it's software security, application security that's forcing the issue.
So you're saying that you think that the defensive side is coming into the offensive side and they're becoming together like a purple team?
Well, I don't think purple teams do what they claim they did, but what purple teams should have been.
Yeah, no, they don't. But I was just saying that in particular,
Yeah,
that's what
in the ideal.
Because I haven't seen it yet.
Mm.
Not at least in the consulting world. I'm not sure about the the contracting or the government world, but I haven't seen it yet. Unless you have somebody that actually has all of that in one. And again, a lot of people don't have that.
Right.
As I was talking to you before, a lot of people that are getting into this field, they've never had any experience in anything besides that they jump into this field, they get their feet wet. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm saying that you will notice and tell me if I'm wrong, DaRon, but the things I've seen, the people that are really good, they had been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Whether it was just curiosity or not, and they got interesting in both sides and defensive. Then they moved into the field, found a job in it, and found that they could get paid in it, and they were moved up the ladder, whether it was from help desk all the way down. And I started off from help desk all the way up, all the way up the stack. And I kind of have a vast array of things that I understand. But from a defensive side, uh, I'm not seeing it. Because even on the offensive side, let's think about this. How many people are in the industry are really good at offensive?
Yeah.
If you're saying that people were saving things behind and leaving them just to have something else to talk about, I mean, how many people are good at offensive as they say they are? And then if you think about the defensive side, they're not good at that either. Because again, they were not defensive when they left their last job.
Yeah.
Okay, and even if they were application security engineers, they probably did not defend anything or know how to do secure coding.
Yeah.
Them, let alone do they even know how to read code.
Yes, unfortunately.
So again, I haven't been seeing that trend, but we need to. We need to get more people that are both sides,
Yeah.
and
Well-rounded.
well-rounded. And even if you can't do that, like we were in Highland at that point. Remember, we had our application security engineers and we had our pen testers.
Mm-hmm.
And what I thought would have been a great mix, and I was trying to get to work out, and I was talking to you about, is that I thought it would be best that we as pen testers, because the pen testers on the team could not remediate worth shit, that we would get the application security engineers who understood the code and understood this everything as a whole. And we may have understood some things, but the underlying, that they would be able to work with the teams and integrate with them to getting their stuff fixed.
Yes.
We would,
Yes.
that was a good integration, which is what you were trying to do. And correct me if I'm wrong, make that, integrate where we worked with them internally. So that would have been a good mixture. If you don't have a well-rounded team, start integrating some application security engineers that are good at secure coding, understand code, and integrate them with, your clients.
Yes.
That way, after, what you're doing is even if you got a pen testing team that is giving a remediation, but you have somebody on the call that's a security engineer that can back up and say, hey, or, if you can't do this, here's what some other ideas, and we can work with you on putting a plan together. You need to integrate other people inside the team in the application security program as well, because not everybody is well rounded as they may think, especially in this industry. So,
Well, and I think from a business perspective, just to kind of summarize that, if you think about it, it makes sense in that it provides better solutions, but it also makes you more money. So what starts out as a small one-time engagement rapidly expands because we leave you with an engineer who's aware of what the penetration or security assessment team did, what they saw, what was wrong. They've been integrated into that process. And then that engineer or whomever, that defensive guy, so to speak, stays with that customer and just keeps helping them. So that's more of a long-term. You took what was a short-term one-time engagement and turned it into a long-term deal. You've also given them a very positive experience, I would hope. So they come back for more and more and more. So from a business perspective, that model makes sense. And that is what we were trying to do at Highland. Unfortunately, there was a lot of, that team was bad. That team was sick. It was a sick team. There was no way to salvage that puppy. The patient was dead.
oh, I love how you said it was a sick team. Yeah, that relationship was sour. So all I'm gonna say is that, as DaRon said, it would definitely make your clients happy. It would give you more business, and it would give you something to do with your security engineer. Because there's some security engineers that in the consulting world that don't do security engineering.
Yeah.
So give them a chance to really actually engage with the client and bring in more revenue. And like you said, moves from a short-term engagement to a long-term engagement. And then as you're working on these projects, because most of them are projects, you can continue getting more projects and working if they particularly like that security engineer, and you yourself standing engagement with that client and build more revenue and more. They feel more like safe.
Yes.
Introducing more products to you guys. So key points. Yeah, there are many different ways you can. You have to be good at the defensive side as well as offensive. You can't just be offensive. Again, as we said before, defense wins championships. That's the same way here. Defense wins clients, defense wins it all. Like, you need to be able to explain to your clients not only how something is vulnerable, but how to fix it.
Yeah.
And you have to understand it. So defenses It's going to win clients. It's going to protect you in the long run, and it wins championships. You fucking Lakers, win, 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 win. Get your defense together. But all in all, these are just some of the things that we wanted to introduce or tell you guys that you can implement if you haven't already. If you're struggling to find a well-rounded team, then these are things you can implement. You already have the stuff there. You have the people there. Put them together. But this is our time. If you haven't already, I'm Ryan. Please subscribe to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, flame us, do whatever. Add new things or topics that you want to talk about down at the bottom of the comments or description or comment section. And let us know what you want to talk about in the next episode or stuff like that. And I think we also, in the future, again, if you would like to join and talk to us about any particular topic that you put under the bottom or anything that you would like to talk about, let us know and we will look at those. You can email us, you can comment to us, you can direct, DM us, I guess. And then we can kind of touch bases because in the future I do think we will be bringing on some people to talk about things on the podcast. But until then, I'm Roniel.
I am DaRon.
And to the next time. Later.
Have fun.